Good afternoon. My name is Amanda Rivera. I'm the hearing examiner presiding over today's case. The date is February 13th, 2025, and this is case VAR 2024-00018. It's a variance request in the North Fort Myers planning community. Because this is a quasi-judicial hearing, all evidence and testimony must be taken under oath. So if you intend to speak, if you could please raise your hand. Do you swear or affirm the testimony you will provide is the truth?
I do.
Thank you. I do not believe we have members of the public here today, so I will dispense with those instructions and we can begin whenever the applicant is ready.
Good afternoon, Terry Kramer for the record. I'm going to go ahead and give you a copy, if I may, of the presentation.
Okay, thank you.
Do a quick intro and then Cindy will take it from here.
Okay, I'm going to, one moment, just accept this. So the applicant Exhibit A was the 48-hour letter, and then this will be applicant Exhibit 1 as the PowerPoint.
Okay.
Thank you.
And just real quick background, the address is going to be 3405 Hancock Bridge Parkway. As you can see on the screen, it's just right off of 41. This is the Hancock Animal Hospital, and we're seeking a variance dealing with, there's a section of the code, section 34, dealing with what's allowed for them to have like play, kennel, run area behind the animal hospital. The way it's set up is that there's a section of the code that requires a separation of like 200 feet in pretty much all directions and a certain amount of acreage. We meet the acreage requirement, but due to the way the code is written, we can't reach the 200 feet each way. So Cindy's going to walk through like some of the reasons why that we applied for the variance and why we think that a variance would be the right way to go here. But if you go ahead, Cindy. Thank you.
Thank you. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Cindy Brizuela for the record. I am the land use planner for Hancock Animal Hospital and Rehabilitation Center's setback variance. I have been previously qualified as an expert in the Lee County Land Development Code as well as the comprehensive plan by the Office of the Lee County Hearing Examiner and ask that I be qualified once more for this case.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you. Okay. This project is located just north of Hancock Bridge Parkway, close to its intersection at North Cleveland Ave. It is zoned C1A and is just over 2 acres in size. The future land use is intensive development. We are requesting a variance from LDC section 34-1322-2B, which states that no portion of any pen, cage, run, or other outdoor exercise facility shall be located closer than 200 feet to any abutting lot or parcel under separate ownership or from any street right-of-way line or easement. This map demonstrates the current zoning of the site and its surrounding land uses. Every parcel in the immediate area, including the subject parcel, as I stated before, is in the C1A zoning district. The project is located within a commercial node, features a variety of retail, office, and other service uses. Some of the surrounding land uses include offices to the east and west and northwest, as well as fast food uses to the north, and gas stations at the intersection of North Cleveland Ave and Hancock Ridge Parkway. The section of the LDC which we are requesting a variance from is section 2B, as seen on the screen. But reading the code section in its entirety is important. First, we see that the first requirement is that the property be a minimum of 2 acres, which we do satisfy. The next section of the code is the one which we are requesting the variance from, and that is specific to the required setbacks. This code section was last revised via Ordinance 0923, which was approved in 2009 and changed the minimum lot size from 5 acres down to 2 acres. However, when this was last updated, the setbacks associated with this section of code were not changed. As you can see, there's no change listed under 2B. As a result, it's impossible to meet that section of code for any property under 4.6 acres. So while the acreage did change to allow outdoor runs to be located on lots under 5 acres, as is intended through this code update, the setbacks associated with the code section are still tied to the original 5-acre dimension. The math was done to verify that this is impossible to meet on a 2-acre property. Using the square root, we were able to identify that a parcel would need to be over 400 feet wide in order to meet the required 200 feet on either side. That's if it were a perfect square, which we know this parcel is not. In addition to that, if you're assuming any kind of space internal for the run itself, you have to assume 450 feet by 450 feet, which results in approximately 4.6 acres. Again, this makes sense with the previous code section, just not so much after the update. The variance is consistent with a number of criteria as outlined here. The property has inherent exceptional conditions that cause the application of the regulation to create a hardship on the property owner. As described, because of the LDC update, this is definitely considered a hardship as it is defined by the LDC. The exceptional conditions are not the result of the actions of the property owner taken subsequent to the adoption of the ordinance. Again, this is not a result of the property owner or anything that they have done. The variance granted is the minimum to relieve the unreasonable burden caused by the application of the regulation on the property. We are requesting a variance for a reduction to 16 feet, which is consistent with the urban setting of the site, as well as the underlying intensive development, future land use, and the configuration of the existing building. Additionally, we do have a letter from the neighboring property, and they are in agreement with this request and have provided supporting documentation of that. The granting of the variance will not be injurious to the neighborhood or detrimental to the public welfare. Again, this is a request that will actually benefit our community and provide animal welfare services, which are currently not available in any urban setting within the county. The variance is also consistent with a number of leaf land policies, including the intensive development future land use, objectives 2.1 and 2.2 regarding development location and timing, as well as goal 4, general development standards, and the underlying objectives and standards for that goal, which include water, sewer, reuse, and environmental standards. The variance is also consistent with goal 6 pertaining to commercial land uses, specifically policy 6.1.4 regarding commercial compatibility and policy 6.1.8 regarding school compatibility. It is also consistent with goal 30 regarding the North Fort Myers Community Plan. This is the conceptual plan that was provided for this variance. The plan was created using an existing survey since this is a built-out site. The only addition is really the hatched area here, which is the outdoor run area. And I do want to reiterate that the exercise facility is not ancillary to a boarding facility. The dogs using the space won't be out here all day. It's for a clinic, so it's geared towards rehabilitation of these animals, and the space is for periodic exercise, so the patients will improve their health and ultimately reduce their stay. That is all we have. The applicant is available for questions and comments, and thank you for your time.
So the master concept plan that you just showed did not have the hatching that was on the 48-hour letter version. So just for clarification, which version is it that you prefer to use?
We prefer this version, which is in the staff report, and it is different from the one in the 48-hour letter. We just wanted to clarify that a subsequent plan was requested by staff. We provided that. However, the one in the staff report, the one here that we're showing, does not have the hatching for the open space, and it would be our preference.
Okay, so the subsequent plan, it was
Just to show the open space calculations.
And then going back, so the actual variance, the way that it's written, it includes the 16 feet, but it also identifies 3 other property dimensions, and all of those are shown on the master concept plan from, it looks like the property boundary, but the code itself talks about being 200 feet from the property boundary or the right-of-way.
Correct.
So you would have less to get to Bow Road, correct, or Bow Drive, rather? Correct. I want to be sure that the variances that we're requesting and approving are the right number.
So we had requested the variance based off the smallest dimension on the site plan, which was the 16 feet, and that would be the one abutting the property to the east.
Just trying to figure out what the distance is between the other. So if you go to Bow Drive, like what is that?
That's 140.
It's written in the request statement in the staff report. It had 157 from the northwest line, 139 from the west, and 144 from the southwest line, which if they're shown on the plan, those are going all the way to the property boundaries, but you would actually need different numbers to get to the
easement line.
to the easement. So I don't want you to get into a problem later. I am fully satisfied that you've met the criteria to get the variance, so I don't have any angst about that, but I want to be sure that we're approving the correct numbers since those were included in here. So that's just something I think might need to be clarified.
Yes, we can provide additional dimensions to clarify this.
Okay.
And make them line up a little bit better so that there is that, I see what you're saying, the 144 goes all the way down to the other side of Bow Drive.
And I'm not sure what it is to Hancock. It might be more than 200, and that's why it wasn't distanced, but there wasn't that demarcation. So if we're going to be reevaluating it, just to be sure you don't need one from that property line as well.
Okay.
And was there a community meeting that was
Yes.
held? I don't have anything in the record about that, so I need that to be supplemented in the staff report. I can ask staff as well.
And we can provide records of that as well.
Okay. And you mentioned a letter of no objection. Do you have that I can accept into the record also? I'm going to be leaving the record open, so if it's not with you today, that's something I can just add
Okay.
to the order to include.
I don't believe I have a hard copy of that letter, but we can go ahead and provide that. It was provided to staff as well.
Okay. It's just, again, not in the record that I have, so I want to be sure we have a complete record moving forward. Okay. That was the extent of the questions that I had for the applicant. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
I'm ready for staff whenever you're ready.
All righty. Just to clarify your one section, you'll need a new, you want a new staff report that includes the community meeting.
I'll leave the record open just for that one item, just for the community meeting. I don't need the entire staff report amended.
Okay.
I'll go through at the end a number of things it sounds like that we're going to need to leave the record open for, so that will be one of them, certainly.
Turn on my report. Here we go.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. It's Pete Blackwell with Lee County Zoning, for the record. Well, I have left the affidavit of publication on your desk along with a copy of our PowerPoint presentation.
Okay, one moment then. I will accept, let's see here, the notice of publication would be Staff Exhibit 2, because Staff Exhibit 1 is the staff report itself. And then your PowerPoint presentation will be Staff Exhibit 3.
Excellent.
Okay, thank you.
Alrighty. The case for us, variance, or VAR 2024-00018, the Hancock Animal Hospital variance. The applicant, I gotta click on the screen so that my remote will work. There we go. The applicant's presentation was both factually correct and comprehensive, and so rather than rehash the same comments as they made, I will go straight to the criteria section. You can see the overall location, and just for the note, they are in the mixed-use overlay. The first review criteria, the property has an inherent exceptional condition. This is correct. The irregular shape and the size of the property does not really conform well with our regulations. It does not allow sufficient room for the outdoor run. And of course, locating the run directly behind the building places it very close to one side of the property. So that creates the condition that needs to be relieved. This was not the result of the applicant's actions. They took over an existing building, and the property was already in this configuration when they purchased it. As you can see, it's the minimum request needed due to like I said, the location behind the building, making it off-center, And even if the lot were larger, they would still not be able to meet these criteria. So they are asking, they're not asking for the world, I guess we could say. It's not injurious to the neighborhood. This subject property is located in what is essentially a commercial node at the corner of 41 and Hancock Bridge. It's in the intensive development future land use category, and everything around it is zoned commercial, just like it. So it fits in with that. There is no residential neighborhoods near it. Much of its boundary is further buffered by the surrounding rights-of-way. So it doesn't really affect the neighborhood that it's in. It does conform to the LEED plan. It's appropriate for the future land use map. The intensive development allows a variety of commercial uses. Does not result into an intrusion or encroachment of commercial activity into the residential neighborhood. And based on these criteria, staff finds that the requested relief is appropriate for the subject property. And therefore, staff recommends approval of the requested relief for the special setback from 200 feet to 16 feet on the east property, and to the numbers to be determined by the applicant in their update information.
Was there any discussion on staff based on what the applicant pointed out, that it's impossible for anybody to meet those setbacks? Is there any LDC amendments that would be coming forward?
Well, we did discuss it. Anthony Rodriguez and I discussed this, and we were like, yeah, that will need to be addressed at some point. So we took that to heart.
Okay,
Yeah.
so that's something that will be being looked at, because it's not, one of the variance criteria is that it's not something that's going to be repetitive throughout the community. So it sounds like everybody that wants to do this use is going to have the same problem. So that would tee it up for an LDC amendment.
Right, and it's especially important since this is a commercial use that generally will be located in smaller areas. So
Right.
there is a need, I think, to address the issue.
Okay, and the community meeting, you've seen that as well, and it met all the requirements of the code?
Yes.
Thank you. And based on the measurements are going to be less, but I assume your evaluation will remain the same, because when they do their calculations, it's going to be less to the right-of-way than it is to the property boundaries.
Correct. The 144, 157, et cetera, those are already, much greater than the smallest relief being requested, and as such, it would be a de minimis impact.
Okay, thank you. Were there any conditions that you were proposing? Because there weren't any that I saw. Generally, with the variance, we're at least tie it to a site plan, but I didn't see that condition. If the hearing examiner wishes to tie them to conforming to the site plan, staff has no objection to that or no issues with it. I don't think I've seen a variance where we haven't tied it to a site plan, and we always have a development permit. Were there any other conditions of concern that staff would recommend in this
No.
condition?
No, ma'am.
Okay, thank you.
And just a comment, if we tie it to, we would like to tie it to the site plan that was in the staff report,
Okay.
just for clarification.
Yes, thank you. Okay, so that was the extent of my questions. We'll leave the record open again to supplement the record with evidence of the community meeting that's set forth in Chapter 33 of the LDC, and then a revised site plan that shows the distances to the rights of way and potentially also to Hancock Bridge, just so we've got that one covered. And then the letter of no objection from the neighboring landowner, if you could do that as well. How much time would you need to do that?
48 hours.
Okay, so I will leave the record open just in an abundance of caution until the end of business on the 18th. That's Tuesday. If you need more time than that, then definitely take it. Otherwise, it's a pretty straightforward case, so I would anticipate that my decision will be issued pretty shortly after I get those materials. Thank you. And thank you, everybody, for coming today. Was there anything further?
I can submit this straight to Maria.